Good morning, everybody. This is Catie Beth, and I just, I'm here today to teach you guys some basic weaving techniques. I'm going to show you how to work your loom. I'm going to show you a basic weave. I'm going to show you how to do a raya. I'm going to show you how to do just a couple of the techniques that I've learned. Does anybody have any questions before we start? Awesome. So first what we're going to talk about is the tools that you're going to be using. So everyone's got a little loom, and we've got a couple different sizes. Bracelet size, headband size, or necklace size. If anyone wants a different size, you can let me know now and we can get you a different size. The first thing that you're going to want to have is your warp string, which is going to be the basic foundation of your weaving. So it's going to go vertical along the little slits that I've cut in the top of your weaving. So I'm going to go ahead and pass out some of the warp string, and we can kind of get started on how to work the loom. Other tools that you guys have are your little needles. These are just basic tapestry needles. When you're making a tapestry, what I like to do is actually use more than one needle if you're doing different colors. So I've got needle for white, needle for blue, so it's handy to have lots of things at your house if you want to do.
So one for each color?
One for each color. That's what I would do. And you can also use this tool called a bobbin. This is very traditional in tapestry. You go to use bobbins. They're similar to needles, except you can actually wrap your welt, which is the other yarn that you're going to use to go horizontal around it, and you can use it kind of like a other tools we're going to be using today are these little tiny picks that I bought. They're also, tapestry beaters. You basically just push your tapestry up like that to kind of tighten your welt string. So I'll pass out these real quick, and then we'll go ahead and passing those out that you can use. When you guys want to put your sheets, these are on, I think, the first page of having that definitions, shed stick, and your shuttle. If you're doing a larger weaving on something this size or about, well, you could probably do it on a small weave, to use your welt instead of like going under over with a needle, you can use the shed stick, pop it up, have yarn wrapped around this, and slide it through. This is a shuttle, this is a shed stick, and that goes really quickly, actually. But if you want to do a design, or if you've got an idea in mind of a pattern, you can go ahead and just tapestry weave it and use your needle, and it's real easy. So, okay, let's get started on wrapping your warp. Color preferences, we've got white, we've got gray, and we've got this brownish color. So anybody, just whatever you want will come around and do that. Actually, what I'll do is you guys are working on the little cardboard looms, I'm going to use one as well.
How long should that piece be?
What I do is I actually normally measure by just going around my arm a couple times. You can also kind of eyeball it if you're using a small one. When you're using a large one, I don't cut. Once you've got it tied through just like that, just securely, really basic. It's not a big deal if it's not perfect. We're going to take those off at the end and it'll be fine. This is probably going to be the bottom, actually. We'll probably flip it over. All right, so tightly pull it down here and wrap it under that first slit. And then you're going to go around the back, just around the back tooth. I'm going to call it a tooth instead of a slit. Just like that. Can everybody see that? Can you bring it closer? Can you guys see it? So that's the back. And then go around the front again, just like that. Maybe a little closer.
Are you flipping it, or are you going around the tube?
Just slipping it. Just slipping it over the tube. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The color makes it not show
I
up
wish
on
that I had like bright neon warp string. I should have thought about it.
Yes,
that's correct.
You go on like a top.
If you wanted to do it that way, the Navajo actually used to make weavings that way, and they would weave on both sides, and then they would cut the bottom out. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. It'll be way easier to take off if you just slip it over the tooth like that. Because when we take it off, we're going to fold the tooth over and slip it. You tap it over. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's what I thought you were doing, and I wasn't sure.
And then goes here, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
So you're just actually
Wrapping
it on
just
one
wrapping it
side.
around the front, and then you're gonna, that's it. So you want to make sure, obviously, you go around the back of the tooth as well. So when everybody's finished, the end of it, you're gonna tie off exactly like you did at the beginning. Just do a double knot and tie it off. It's not gonna matter if it's gonna be covered up and cut off and tied off and stuff. Oh yeah, that's okay. No big deal.
So how many are we supposed to have? Even number, odd number, doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. No, I was gonna say some of them are even, some are odd. I tried to do them all even, but you know how it goes. Yeah. Okay, so next, what you guys are gonna get to do is, if I can find it. pick out your welt. Right in front of me. Pretty. Yes. So I've got a whole lot of different welts, which is, they're mostly wool. Some of them are a combination of wool and acrylic. Grab as many as you want. I think you're probably only going to go through 1 or 2 maybe, but if you want to get 3 colors, there's plenty. The very first thing that you're going to want to do is knot onto your tapestry. That basically just secures your welt, which is, like I said, the yarn that you want to go horizontal with. And in your diagram, I've shown you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show him how to do it on the camera as well, so we've got it on video. It's really simple. You're basically just going to wrap it around once. I'm just going to show you guys this big one. Around like that.
Okay, you don't need it on the needle.
No, ma'am, not right now. You can also use the other end if you want. Like if you've got it on the needle already, you can just cut it and use that other end to knot on.
Okay.
That's no big deal. All right. Wrap it around once. Wrap it around the second time, so it looks like that. Okay. And then you're going to do this, just like that. You see? It's also in the diagram. You don't want, you can't see this far, as there's a little picture of it as well right in front of you.
Right side or left side?
Whichever side you want to start on. As I said, it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed, you may want to do different. Whatever you want to do. Here, I'll come over there and show you guys.
And you tie?
What?
Tie?
You pull it through this first loop, and it's just going to create kind of like a, it's not a real knot, it's kind of like a faux knot, I guess you could say. It just attaches. You may come back there and show you.
You look like a deer in headlights.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a little bit. That's why I put the diagrams in the. Is anybody having trouble, or you want me to come show you closely? Okay, got it.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. I'm showing you.
That's why I use this pin.
Okay, so that's the second one. This first loop.
And then
You're going to go through that loop here, over, and then inside.
It's not real.
Is it too hard? I feel like maybe because I've done it so often, I'm kind of, I just get used to it. It honestly doesn't matter. If it doesn't look just like that, if you don't do it exactly right, it's not going to matter. That's kind of like our own thing. You can kind of do your own thing, and it looks even more, okay, you're back. Does anybody have any questions before we start? No? We're good? Okay, awesome. What you're going to do next, I'm going to take my needle out over here.
Whatever this is.
This is actually.
Either one of these. I made a mess. Hang on. This is not good. Once you've got it off, I would go ahead and cut off about how much you want to use. I'm going to start with this much. If you want to actually measure, you can do it in arm's lengths. You can do this a couple times. I would stop at 2 or 3 because you guys are working on such a small size. I'm going to cut that off. If you want to use a smaller amount, you don't have to wrap around your arm. You just use, a little bit, whatever you want to use. Once you get that cut, you just want to go ahead and thread your needle. Does everyone know how to thread a needle? If anybody doesn't know how to thread a needle, do like this. Over. Tie it. I'm going to do 2 knots to be safe.
All in one
You're all going to tie. Yes, ma'am. Because you've got one end attached to your weaving. The other end is going to be attached to your needle. So if you're starting at the bottom or starting at the top, doesn't matter. You can do either one, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I generally start from the top. That's just how I like to work. And I play my weaving that way. But some people will start from the bottom. When you're starting from the top or the bottom, you want to make sure you've got a couple rows of basic weave to lock in your weaving, just to make sure it's secure. I say 3 to 7 rows just to make sure. On the bottom, you could probably go all the way up to 10 just to make sure that bottom's secure. Okay, is everybody ready to start? You ready to start? Let me see. Awesome, okay. All basic weave is an under, over pattern, okay? So your first work string, let's say you are gonna count that as an over. You're gonna go under the next one, over, under, over, under, over, under. You just do that all the way across. When you get to the other side, you're going to pull your needle through. Be careful not to pull through too hard or too quickly because you don't want your work string to buckle. You don't want to see like this happening. You want it to be straight. Does that make sense?
We'll do, we turn around and go back the opposite direction.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I was about to say. You want to make sure that you go over that last work string. If you went under it, and if you did the opposite, just make sure you're going to catch it. So if anybody has a question about that. Yes.
So you just go.
Okay, so when you get to the end, so this is a good example. Can I use yours as an example? Pull it all the way through, just like that. All right, everybody. If you went over this last work string, I'm using Catherine's as an example, I want to make sure you go under it. Does that make sense? If not, your weaving is going to come out. So,
How tight should we be pulling that?
not so tight that it's taut. You want it to be comfortably tight because if you do it too tight, it's going to pull that work string and you're going to get that bowed in effect that you don't want. You don't want that to happen. So you just want to go under this and then once you get a couple rows woven, you're going to take your comb and you're going to just push it up to the top of your loom. And you may have some bubbling. If it looks like it's not quite taut, just pull it just like that. Just very gently, and then use your comb and push it up. You can also use your fingernails. You can also use a fork. Really anything that you have on hand. If you don't have a fork or a comb, use your fingers.
How many rows do you say go down?
As many as you want, 3 to 10. I'm probably 7 is safe. Really locks it in if you've got 7 on there. It's a personal preference thing. Whatever you want your weaving to look like.
Oh, this is.
I think this is perfect for getting, you know how many kids you have? I think I'm half of them are here. Ah. All those ranging from 4 to 17. That's old. You know what? You see how 4 is helping these. Yeah. It'll be a session for them to do.
The next thing I want to talk about is something called hitching off. And there's a big diagram on your second page if anybody wants to see the diagram. I was just talking about it briefly. Hitching off is when you have, let's say you're ending a row, okay? So you just sewed some basic and you end it and you only have that much left. So you've got like, oh, not quite enough to go all the way. What you can do is you can weave your basic weave this far and you can leave a tail hanging down the back. It's fine, you can tuck it in at the end. Basically, it will be anchored in by the rest of the weaving. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. If anybody has that problem, you can do it. If not, you can tie it off on the end like we did that first knot, okay? If you've got enough to tie it off on the end, just do that on the work. It's a lot easier to hitch off when you've got an open back loom like this. This is like a lap loom. The cardboard loom is a little bit harder to hitch off because you're still going to have that piece behind there when you're making the rest of the weaving. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, everybody go ahead and thread another needle with a different color yarn. Preferably do one that's a completely different color. If you've got like 2 blues, pick another one. You're fine. You've got lots of different colors.
Y'all got a super.
I've got this light color blue and this color white. That's what I decided to use. Next, we're going to go over how to do some alternating colors and patterns. There's a lot you can do with just basic weave. You can do vertical lines, you can do wavy horizontal lines. It's literally just changing up the way that you do your weave. You're doing 2 on top of each other, you're doing the same on the same warp frame. So I'll explain that in just a second when everybody gets their needle. Stripe. So I think that one is really fun. Yes, ma'am?
Tie this back on again.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. I was going to say, I've already got my blue in my weaving. I've already started that, but just go ahead and tie it off from whichever side you want. It's easy if they're both on the same side, like I've done, just like this. So tie off from the same side if you want to make it easier yourself. Is everybody ready for me to talk about how to do vertical stripes? Okay. Almost? Okay. Vertical stripes are very easy, and I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to start. Once you have knotted off, you've got your 2 colors, you're going to want to do your stripes on the same warp string. So all the blues are going to go on the same warp string, all the whites are going to go on the other warp string. Does that make sense? I'm going to start and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So my last line was white, so I'm going to pick a different color, which is blue. And I'm going to do the opposite of the white. So my white was under, over, under, over, under, over. So my blue is going to be over, under, over, under, over, under. The blue is always going to be over, under, over, under. Does that make sense? Your alternating color is always going to be over, under, over, under. The first color is always going to be under, over, under, over. So they're always on the exact same warp string and the same pattern. Does that make sense?
Say it again.
Okay. Let me show you, and then I'm going to repeat myself. Because it's way easier if you see what I'm doing. Yeah.
But you started under or over.
You just want to start opposite of the last one. That's it. I was going to say your last one was white and it was under over. Do the other one over under. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you don't, it's going to look like you have these little tiny like half circles, kind of like eyes. Instead of vertical stripes, you have these weird little eyes. So, you know, it's a different look. If you don't want to do vertical stripes, you can definitely do that. But it's not the effect that we're going for. Since I don't have a comb, I'm just going to use my fingernails. It's really easy to do, just like that. Finish the blue. Now I'm going to do the white. The white's going to be the opposite of the blue. So the blue was over, under. The white's going to be under, over, under, over. Once you do this about probably 3 or 4 times, you're going to go ahead and start to see the stripes forming.
So you got 2 colors going at the same time?
Yes, ma'am. Knock both your colors off and just keep going. You cut yours, right? So my last line was the white, and it was under, over, under. So we're going to go with the blue, over, under, which is exactly what it was before. After you do probably 3 or 4 rows, you're going to see the pattern start to form. And the thing about basic weave is you can make a lot of different patterns. You can pass under 2 warp strings and go over 2. That's called a basket weave. There's a lot of different things you can do with just this basic stitch. And that's what's really fun about it. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. You
You guys understand what I meant about always keeping it on the same work stream? So all one color is going to be on, the first color is going to be on one work stream, the second color is going to be on the other work stream. Does that make sense? You may come look. Got it. Okay, so now you're going to go over that. Yeah. When you're doing vertical stripes, I would do probably like more than 10 lines just so you can actually see the stripes. So you guys just work.
So you're going back across. There's line, gray line, and then under two.
You're going to go, okay, so, because, oh, I'm so sorry. So you just want to follow that first gray pattern that you started. Does that make sense? Of the under, over, under, over.
Uh-oh, I got a mess.
Oh, no! Okay. We think about how we should resolve that. Except take it out. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, we take it out. We'll just take a second. Is that okay? Sure. But you're doing it, I mean, that's what the lines are gonna look like, you know? That's all we need to take it out. I was thinking we could cut it off and tie it. You want me to cut it off and tie it on the ends? I don't know, that might be bigger mess than just taking it out.
Just take it out.
Okay, cool. Take it out, so everything is in the cut. And it's one of those things. Yes, ma'am.
I'm really concerned about the tautness. Is it easier to keep your tautness equal on the
Let me
width
see what
of
yours
the
looks
lens?
like. It is a little bit easier, but if, like I said, you don't pull it taut, you just let it relax, it's fine.
Start out that way
And then
I catch myself.
it happens. The first couple ones that I did all looked like that. I'm not even kidding. And the wool that I was working with also was very stretchy, so that added to it. When you're working with acrylic or something synthetic, it doesn't have any stretch to it, so you're not going to see that happening as much. When you're working with wool, it kind of, you know, shrinks. Hold on 1 second.
Let's see what you're concerned about. What are you looking at? Is it all pinched together?
Keeping my weave
Even
the
on the
same
sides.
tightness, you know, or looseness. It's not getting it too tight. I tend to, my work strings tend to start pulling
Right.
on.
You
You
can
know,
take
like
it in,
that.
let it come out easier. If you
Go back and sit it.
Yeah, I need that.
Okay, cool. I just that's why it is being. And now, see how I do that?
I'm trying to see how this is going to look. It looks like it's going to get smaller and smaller.
This one over here, you didn't go around it at all. That's one.
Okay.
But it's really easy. I was gonna say, can I pull it out? Because okay, I showed you. Yeah, I've done that like tons of times. And then you pull it through and you're like, what happened? And you have to go back and yeah. So if you know that happens. Okay, actually, would you care if I show everyone? That's a really good example. Okay, everybody. When you're weaving the vertical stripes, let's say you're on your 4th row. This purple color, you've got to make sure you wrap it around this end work string. If it doesn't, you know, look easy, just wrap it around once. It doesn't matter. Wrap it around twice. It doesn't matter. Just as long as it literally goes under it somehow or around it somehow. Because if it doesn't go around it, you're going to pull it through and it's going to come out. Or it's going to be pulled through and it's going to be on that second work string and there's going to be nothing on the first work string. That happens. It's not a big deal. If you can take it out, I would take it out. If you've already done a couple rows, just leave it going, you know. All right.
I'm getting too much thread here.
And then if you wanted to do like, start doing a rectangle, would you just
Yeah,
swap?
yeah, you can definitely just swap. And if you want, like, okay, so if you swap lines, like let's say you've got your white on the first work string, your blue on the second, your white on the third, you can always switch those and the lines will do this. They'll swap like that. And that creates a really fun effect too. You can do, it kind of looks like bricks, like laying bricks, you know, you go back and forth. Another really cool technique is wavy lines, so it looks like this, wavy. The way to do that is to do your vertical lines, except use 2 rows of the colors. So you're gonna do 2 rows of white, and then 2 rows of blue, and that way they're gonna be on alternating warp strings. I can show you guys how to do that real quick too. I don't really have my vertical lines going, but let me get a couple more lines of it, and then I'll show you how to do the wavy lines. How's everyone looking? Do you guys have any questions before I keep going? Yeah. If you've got your warp string showing, you don't want that effect, it's not really a desired effect, you just take your comb, I don't have my comb, so I'm pretending, and you just bat it really tightly with your comb, push it, push it, push it, I'm gonna use my fingernails, and your warp string will completely disappear. Some people intentionally leave their warp string. If you're doing like a art weaving, normally in that case you've got either like painted warp string or warp string that's like a really bright, different color, and that kind of adds to the effect. That's kind of, think about like how, those little pot holder weavings look, how you've got both of them, they're prominent, yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Yep. Okay. Is everybody a good stopping point? Yeah? Okay, cool. Sumac is a really old weave, actually used in the Mediterranean, Turkey, Persia, all of those areas for a really long time, like thousands of years. Is that right, Lorraine? I was like, you may know this more than I do. No. She's a rug, yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Expertise. Sumac is just wrapping it, so you've got like, create a circle, wrapping it around the warp string, come back over, just like that. That's it. You're just looping around each warp string. Do it again for the second warp string. Big circle.
So it's every.
See how I'm going underneath it over here? Just like that. Every warp string. That's it. When you're done, it's going to create kind of like a knotted braided effect. It's going to be a little bit bubbly. Some people like this, some people don't. You don't really need more than a couple rows of that to get this nice effect, and then you're good to go. So if anybody has any questions, I'm going to keep doing it so you can keep watching me and ask away. It's going to look kind of... Okay.
So do more than 1 row?
It's whatever you want. If you do 1 row and you like how it looks, you don't have to do any more. I'm probably going to try to do 3 up here.
Same color?
Yes, ma'am. If you wanted to get crazy, you could alternate your colors. See what I'm doing? I'm making a really big circle, just like this. And I'm going to go under that warp string one more time. So I'm technically going under the warp string twice. I'll go under it once, and then I'm going to go under it again. You can go, yeah. If you want, I can cut that off for you, and you can make a little ribbon out of it, whatever you want to do. So we've got it secured. Okay, so now we're going to start our actual sumac. You made a circle.
I figured here I would just
Under.
look for veggies.
So that's the very beginning. Okay, so that's the first loop. The second one.
Yeah. You have to find really hard.
And then under it again. That's what I'm doing, under it twice, because you've got your circle. And you want to just make sure that circle. Here, I'll pull it too tight. That's kind of what I like it to look like. Yeah. So, because if it's not under, you're not going to get that circle. Right. So go under that and then go under it again.
Catie Beth,
Yes, ma'am.
are these to go or do we pop them off to get them back to you?
But if you need to take it, I can always get it from you later. Yeah, I would say it's not a big deal. I have like 30 seconds. So you can always grab it. Just set them on the table and perfect. That is perfect. And you don't want to pull it too tight because then your warp strings start to bow together.
The yarn I'll put back in this thing.
For big feet?
Cool.
Perfect.
Oh,
And then do one more.
okay. So.
I'm going to need to show her how to take this off the loop, but I'll go back and all the way down.
Oh, nice.
Pop this off the back. You can string that on something, or you can just tie them.
Take it to
And that way it doesn't come untied. Same at the bottom. Wherever you cut it, just make sure you tie it off. You can tie 2 warp strings together. You can tie 4 warp strings together. Whatever you want to do. It kind of depends on the look that you want. So, would you like me to take it off for you, or do you want to keep it and take it home and do it all the time?
I think I want to keep it because when I look at it, I'm going to try to do something.
Sure.
Do it. And I'm wanting to dance.
Yeah. It's nice to be like the list on the shelves and grab it. Yeah, I get it. I will be right there to help you take it out. Thank you, guys. Oh yeah, I've got tons of cards. They all just fill out. Okay. Now you're ready. You go. I've got, a lot of different settings.
I don't envy you. My husband and I were actually talking about this because we decided.
Okay.
I love it.
We've been in our house now. It's easy 7.5 years.
I didn't, we just living in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
One house we were in.
And these are for sale. If anyone wants one, I got this. I'll just stick it right here. The whole kit would be a couple of these, all the needles you need. Just pop off. So you can kind of just bend the teeth. You just take this. You can use a needle or you can use your fingernail. Actually, I'll use a needle just to show you. Nope, not gonna work. Use your fingernail. Pop it off just like that.
Go backwards.
Since you did, before I took it off, she did basic on the top and the bottom, so hers is anchored in. If you didn't do basic, it may come undone.
Oh, yeah, no.
Basic just locks it in.
You go.
There, you wanna do the bottom?
Okay.
You go from this
And
direction.
if those aren't coming off easily, you can always cut them. It's easier to keep them in the little loop, but
Because that's what
they'll come off. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm always like, they'll come off.
They'll come off. I put them on there, they will come off.
And you wanna make a pendant, right? Let me go get you
Yes.
something to do that. Okay. So since you had used the yellow, I brought the yellow, but this is sturdier synthetic rope that I've been using for necklaces. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna push it through the top or the bottom, whichever. I think we should tie off. Which one do you want to be the top? You tell me. That one to be the top? Okay, so this is where we're gonna thread this through. This down here, you've got these little extra warp strings hanging down. What I like to do is tie them off, but since these are so small, the probably easiest thing to do is gonna be to take your needle and to push them through just like that and anchor them in the back. Does that make sense? Okay. And I've got some metal needles that might be easier because it's a smaller thing, yeah.
Crochet hook would work well.
It would work so well, and I didn't bring any, just like that. You want to do all of them.
Okay.
And if you can tie them off, that's just personal preference. I like to tie them off, but if not, just twist them and tuck them in. There's your
And
needle.
what about getting like,
You can also put some of this on the bottom if you
yeah,
want.
well, I was just gonna use this
Yeah,
color.
if you want to do that, you can do that too.
Friends
It's
or
really up to you. Yeah, take it out and put that
So
through.
if I did
Do you want
it,
me to show you how to do rye really quickly on the bottom? Or we could tie little knots in.
no, that's all right.
Okay.
If I just thread that through
Mhm.
those, just kind
Yeah, you can do that. And tie
of
it off.
gather them that way.
And then you can tuck that all in at one time, or you could add a braid, or you could add a tassel, or you could add a pom-pom. There's endless
That
possibilities.
would be easier.
That will be much easier. Right, it's a very, very old technique. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can either knot each individual piece on, or you can do it with one needle and then you thread it and you cut it. I like to go ahead and cut my pieces so I know exactly how much I need, and then I thread them on individually, and I'm gonna show you what the back looks like because it's just knotted on. See how simple that is? So I'm gonna show you.
Hooking a rug?
It's very similar to your
Similar.
Yeah, yeah.
I hooked a rug before.
So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut off some of this dark gray, and I'm gonna show you really quickly how to do it. To make it easy on me, I'm gonna use my shuttle so I get the same length. You can use a book to wrap it around. You can wrap it around your hand. You can wrap it around whatever you have handy. So I wrapped it around a couple times. I'm gonna cut it. So I've got a couple pieces, they're all the same size, okay? This is how you make rug. Move this out of the way. You got two warp strings. I'm gonna start in the middle just because to show you it's easier. Go under this side of your warp string. Hang on, just like that. Oh my gosh. Just like that. And you go under the other side. See? Everybody see what that looks like? So you've got two warp strings, one piece of yarn. You kind of create a little loop just like that around it. Once you do that like a ton of times, you could get something like this really shiny. If you want just a small amount of raya, like this, you can do just a little bit in your weaving as an accent. You can add some at the bottom, wherever really. You can add it at the top, it doesn't matter. It's easy to finish a piece like that, like this little tiny pendant. It kind of looks more finished, and you can do it as long as you want. You know, you could do like a 3-inch or a 4-inch raya. Like if you've only gotten
this much of your weaving done, you can finish the rest of it dry so it looks done. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Do you keep using the same 2 loops as you work down, or do you like?
You do a row. You do a row of 2, you know, so you go over, or under 2 warp strings, under those 2 warp strings, under those 2, and then once you've gotten a whole row done, Katie, you do 1 or 2 rows of your basic, and then do more riot, and then 1 or 2
Tie
rows.
this together.
Yep.
So that's never tied.
It's never tied.
Pinched up
It's-
with.
Yeah, because once you get all the way up to the top, see, look, it's very, when you pull it, it's tight. Once you get up to the top, you're gonna have your basic underneath, and it's gonna look like that. You pull it down. This is gonna be quite a big one. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just measuring with my arm. Make it easy. These scissors are not ideal for this.
I got it.
Can I borrow somebody else's scissors? Thank you so much. It's okay if it falls to the floor, it's not a big deal. Thank you. All right. Since we're only gonna do one, I'm gonna split these in half. And we're gonna go under all of these, just like this. Just like that. Same with this
It's kind of like a shawl. Or
yeah,
Okay.
just like a shawl. You're going to go under your set of work strings, just like that. And then to finish it, you probably would want to finish it with like a row or 2 of the basic, but since you've got such a big one, we can just tie those work strings and they should keep it together. And then I would trim it at the bottom when you're done.
So you say, when I take this off, I just tie.
I would tie, actually, can we do 1 row of basic just to make sure it's like that? Here, I'll do it real quick for you.
I got such long tails. Head high hoops.
I'll be right back there.
Well, I wove the same weave like 5 times, and I have time to do it. Like,
This looks great on the sides. I don't know what I'm doing on the sides.
yeah.
I love it.
I kept running out. I
love
kept
it.
running out. I was like, I'm not going to run out again.
Okay, I'm gonna do 1 more pass through. That way it just anchors it in. So I'm afraid that if you down, it's just gonna come out. I'd, like I said, do like at least 6 or 7 on the bottom.
Here, but I'm done for you.
I'm just, they're so loosey-goosey.
They are loosey-goosey. That's what I was thinking. Yours are more loosey-goosey than the one that I worked with.
I was trying to be really fast to catch up.
That's why it's so important to
I know.
work. But I think you missed the whole first part, didn't you? When I was
So
talking
I
about
was
that.
just trying.
It's okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right here is just make a little circle, layer, circle, and that's gonna be a knot. Okay, so then we're gonna take it off. I'm gonna take it off for you. Sure. Okay. Just pop it off. If you wanna hang it up, I would leave those loose, and that way you can either string more yarn across the top like we did over there, or you can put a little copper pipe, that, or a little piece of wood.
What's the lifespan of these looms? Like, how are you going
I
to
mean,
use this?
I've got some at home that I've used like 6 or 7 times, but that's, you know, can be more careful. Just like whatever.
Yeah.
I think that if you're working with kids, you could probably like just snap off the bottom. Just like that. Since you've got 1 tassel, I'm just gonna tie this off just like that, because you don't really need more than that, right?
Okay, so how do I get back to this?
So you can cut that off. And the top ones, I would leave those down and either string them on some of that thick rope that I have. You can make a necklace. That would actually be a really lovely necklace if you want to. These extra strings that we have, you do it really tightly. But no, it's not bad. I was just saying you did it really tightly, so it's going to be a little bit hard to tuck in. But what you would do is you would take the string, probably cut it about that way. And then kind of lift this up, stick that under there, and pull it through like that, so it's tucked in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you do that with all of these
Just on
ones
the
that
back.
you have. Just
Okay,
on
but
the
if
back.
I was trying to make something that was smooth all throughout,
You
how would
could
I tuck
always,
these in?
remember how you were talking about tucking them while you were leaving?
That would be the way to.
Yeah, and that's what I do on this loom. It's a little bit harder on the cardboard loom because you just have to kind of mess with it as you're moving.
Right.
But it's not, you know, if you're going slow and you're being
Pay
careful.
attention.
Yeah, just pay attention. That's what I was going to say. Yep. But yeah, you can definitely make it smooth all the way.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't have to be like perfect. I just want to
I have an idea. This is what we're going to do. This side, okay? That's an extra glue right here. Okay. So you're gonna have rides about that long. Does that look like a good length? Okay, awesome. Okay, so let me think about what we're gonna do. Can we make a pendant?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool, so I was gonna just make a little one. We'll take off the top first and then, okay, so we're just gonna pop off these. When you're using a loom that's not cardboard, it's a little bit easier to pop these off, like a wooden loom. Since the cardboard's flexible, we can kind of just bend those little teeth in this one. Just pull it off like that, so they're all off, just like that. And then we've got the bottom still, so I'm gonna hold those tightly and pull them off. I said gently, but we're not gonna be as gentle as I would like this to be. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna call it. Okay. So we got one on top and one's on the bottom. Would you like to do a little bit of room through the tips?
Yes.
Alright. So for your actual string of your necklace, use something that's thick. And really, you can use yarn if you want to, but it may not love as well as synthetic.
Leather.
Yeah, leather would look gorgeous. If I had leather, I would have brought it today.
I have a small piece that I have no idea what I'm using.
Well, do you
for.
want to do that when you get home instead of me doing this?
You can give me some of that.
Okay,
as
I was
well.
saying, you can always take it off when you get home
Yeah.
and redo it. I've done that with numerous necklaces. So you just want to push it through. And the rest. And the bottom, what we're going to do with that in a second is we're just going to tie it off. And we're going to cut that all off so you don't see any of that warp string. So you don't really want the warp string to show. Unless it's a decorative warp string that's a manufacturer. You can really use anything for your warp string in your welt. You could use like
No, I
silk.
could make some earrings.
Yes. My earrings are just pom-poms that I made. I love yarn. I love it. It's so fun to work with. I have a degree in art history and I took so many studio classes. I almost have another major in studio art. But fiber is my favorite thing to work with. Okay, so this last one, we just had a single. I'm just gonna make a knot to make sure it's anchored on. You've got a long enough piece where I can do that, which is nice. All right, pull it through gently. You don't want to pull it through too quickly because you don't want all of them. Yeah, there you go. You guys have a neat little tripod. That's nice. Thank you so much.
Want your metal needle back?
Yes, ma'am. Stick that right in my pocket. Thank you. Is that long enough? What do you think?
Yes.
Probably.
She has disappeared again.
Yeah, she said she did.
Okay.
She did.
There we go. I'll go ahead and I'll pull forward since it's in the middle. Actually, you finish that however you want. I was going to say you do it and I'll get back and continue that.
Thank you. Just
If you want less, you can buy less. I'm going to actually tie a double knot on this end so it stays secure. So I'll tell you what I was doing.
Somewhat adjustable then.
Yeah, I was going to say you can make an adjustable knot if you want to. That looks good. Okay, so now we've got these extra warp strings. If you like that effect, you could cut them evenly with your riot and you could leave it. What do you think? Nah.
No.
Okay, cool. So in that case, to make sure it doesn't come undone, you just want to tie like that, a double. Yeah, just a simple knot, just as long as they're anchored like that, look. And we'll just cut it right there at the end. That's it, and you just do that for all of them. Since you don't have that many